Warning. Censorship. Warning. Censorship. Warning. Censorship.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and you have tuned into the Rebel News live stream on this, a Tuesday, April the 6th, 2021. I'm David Menzies, and as always, or as most of the times on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I am joined by my lovely co-host. Indeed, she's very, very sweet, but she can sometimes be a little sour. She comes across as delicate, but she's got plenty of power. She is the she-devil with the sword, the Khaleesi of Northern Alberta, Sheila Gunn Reid. How you doing there, Sheila?
David, I'm great. Before I came on air, I was watching Mean Gene outtakes from the 1980s, and I was admiring just how good that guy is. It's hard to do live TV, right? It's hard to hit a live promo like what you did. That was incredible. I don't know how much you practiced and how much of that was like off the fly, but David, thank you so much. But yeah, watching Mean Gene just give her live with these unpredictable wrestlers, it's tough, and I have a new appreciation for that guy lately.
And you know something, Sheila? The straight man in comedy is vastly overrated. I mean, one of the best comedic duos of all time is Abbott and Costello. But I am personally more of a fan of Bud Abbott rather than Lou Costello. Lou Costello gets all the laughs, or most of the laughs. But being the straight man, setting up, the clown, if you will, is a real talent, and I just love Bud Abbott, and and I look at Mean Gene Okerlund as the same. He's playing it absolutely serious and straight, and because you can't have two comedians, it doesn't work. It's too much of a good thing, and I adore Mean Gene Okerlund as well. It's so sad he's no longer with us, but I do want to wish you, by the way, Sheila, a happy Tartan Day. Today, April 6th, is Tartan Day. I am wearing the Menzies tartan. This is the Menzies modern hunting tartan. I wore it just for you, Sheila. It shouldn't be confused with the Menzies ancient hunting tartan. Oh, there's so many tartans. And I think it's called Tartan Day. It began in the 80s in Canada. It would be nice to wake up and look at the Google logo done in tartan, but the Google logo today, folks, and I swear I'm not making this up, all the letters in Google are wearing masks, and it's saying, don't forget to wear your mask. So, we have to show the warning again, evidently. I think I said something bad.
Warning. Censorship. Warning. Censorship. Warning. Censorship. Warning.
I'm just looking for that sword of Damocles dangling over our heads. We haven't been deplatformed yet. But anyways, it is Happy Tartan Day, if it indeed is still called that. I know Justin Trudeau's father massacred Dominion Day and replaced, over 100 years of history and heritage with the insipid Canada Day. So hopefully it is still Tartan Day and not, Omar Cotter Day or something like that. So
it is still Tartan Day, and I'm sad that I didn't run upstairs and grab my tartan scarf, my Gunn tartan scarf. Maybe I'll do that for a later video. We should tell everybody what we're doing here.
Oh, yes.
Now that they've been sufficiently warned against having any sort of independent ideas or unapproved thoughts. Justin, I can't see anything in the Skype feed. But I know that David is there with me because he's yelling in my ear.
Oh, no.
There. Thank you, Justin. So what as we sort of alluded to, we are in a little bit of trouble with YouTube. They've completely demonetized us. So if you're watching us on YouTube, hello, unfortunately, you can't give us a conventional super chat the way you used to. YouTube, without warning, without explanation even, completely demonetized us, and that has left a $400,000 hole in our company revenue. But we've figured out a workaround. First of all, might I suggest you moving over and watching us on Rumble, which is a platform for live streaming that doesn't have the onerous censorship of YouTube. But if you are still watching us on YouTube and you'd like to donate to some of the work that we do here, because unlike what Justin Trudeau does with the mainstream media, and he just reaches in your pocket and gives it to news companies that don't actually report news but Liberal Party talking points, you can leave us something called a Rebel chat, because we can't do super chats anymore. If you go to the pinned comment at the top of the live chat there, click on that. It's going to take you off YouTube over to Streamlabs. And people are having a little bit of trouble with how to leave Rebel chat. If you are on Streamlabs, you need to have a username that's just one word. That might be some of the holdup for some people. But then you can, as Justin did there, throw a little money in, and then you can leave a comment, a nice comment for me, a question, a criticism, a story idea, just something you want us to say on air. You can do it in the form of a Rebel chat. Justin will send those to me, and I'll read them on air, and David and I will do our best to address them. And it's a way around the constant YouTube censorship happening to, by and large, conservative content creators here on YouTube. I also want to take this moment to ask you to do something for us. We have nearly 1.5 million YouTube subscribers here. But if we get disappeared by YouTube overnight, and that could happen at any moment because they completely demonetized us without explanation, they could certainly just nuke us without explanation too. Can I get you to do something so that we can stay in touch with you and tell you where we've gone when the inevitable happens to us? Go to afteryoutube.com. And if you scroll down, there's a video from Ezra if you want all the full details about what happened to us. Please leave us your information so that we can get in touch with you and let you know where we've gone, because we do have plan B, C, D, all the way through Z. So they're going to try to keep us down. But like I said the other day, we're like Arby's. We're hard to keep down. And if you send us your information, we'll get in touch with you and tell you exactly where to find us.
I love that photo of Ezra on After YouTube, Sheila. Can we put that back up again, Justin? You know, it's Ezra in super serious mode. It looks so ominous. Look at that. Oh, that is a great, that is, don't tread on me, right? Don't make me have a bad day, a look on Ezra. I just so love it. It channels Rowdy Roddy Piper and They Live, Sheila, that scene where he says, I'm here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm fresh out of bubblegum, right? So,
it's the face he makes when they're all out of beef ribs.
Yeah. And it's the face he makes when you don't want to make in that face when you're in the meeting.
No.
But that's very rare. That is the look Ezra reserves for his enemies. And you know what? How sad to think of YouTube as, I don't know if they're an enemy, but they're certainly not friendly. It's not like the old days, Sheila. I got to take a picture of this to show the folks one day. A few years ago, we got that plaque from YouTube, unsolicited. It was beautiful, and it was silver. Congratulations on 500,000 viewers. And then about a year or so later, an even bigger plaque, double the size, in gold. Congratulations on 1 million viewers. So we've gone from them sending us these beautiful gifts, which we've mounted in our boardroom, to, oh no, we don't like your train of thought. We don't like your opinions. We don't like your impolite questions. So be gone in terms of finances. And like I said, it is like a sort of Damocles, isn't it, Sheila, hanging over our heads. They could pull the plug this very instant, and they don't care. They just don't care.
They could do it right now while we're live. And it wouldn't surprise me for a second, because we woke up one day to find out that we had been completely demonetized for no reason. We asked them why. They don't want to tell us. They just say that you're what is it, dangerous and harmful?
Yes.
I think that's how they described it. Like, what does that even mean? Point me to just one of 17,000 videos that we ended up on the wrong side of something. We didn't even get a strike. They just decided, no, you know what? we're just going to, I guess, I don't know, try to force you to close up shop, try to force you to quit growing the company, because unlike other media companies during the pandemic who are shrinking back their coverage, we expanded coverage. We got out into the streets more because that's where the fight for civil liberties is really happening.
And Sheila, it was a very dishonest reason, harmful and dangerous. And I say that, folks, with great certainty, because Ezra actually got the regs from YouTube and went through it page by page. Let's see what's harmful and dangerous. You can't advocate suicide. Well, we don't do that. You can't advocate people eat something that's going to hurt them. We don't do that. You can't promote parkour, that thing where people jump from building to building like they're Spider-Man or Daredevil. We don't do that. You can't promote gay conversion therapy. We don't do that. We don't do anything, literally everything on that list. We don't do, and yet we're still labeled as harmful and dangerous. They don't even have the guts. They don't even have the testicular fortitude, Sheila, to say we're demonetizing you because we don't like your train of thought, period. This is Orwellian doublespeak in action, Sheila.
Wait, I didn't even realize that you can't even, you can't say like, oh, I'm promoting gay conversion therapy.
Nope.
That I didn't realize that was banned on YouTube. But Justin's already like, let's be careful. I wasn't going to say anything, Justin. I'm just remarking that I didn't know.
Oh, darn
That's
it. I'd
all.
like to see Sheila get in trouble for a change.
No, I don't get in trouble.
It's always
Okay.
me.
I know. Should we get to the news of the day?
Yes, and I
David?
think
Okay, perfect.
GraceLife, well, we just got past Easter, didn't we, Sheila? And I think we have a very interesting video about the GraceLife Church just outside of Edmonton. And would you like to set it up, my friend?
Sure. GraceLife actually kind of went off without a hitch on Easter Sunday after the prior Sunday, so Palm Sunday, the start of Holy Week. Police and health inspectors tried to enter the building. They were surveilled on Good Friday. However, I wasn't there, but I did hear from my friends inside the church. I was there on Easter Sunday. Police were there. They didn't try to come in. However, there were two Westboro Baptist types who stood across the road with the journalists from their little perch in the ditch where they're allowed to be, and I can be on church property. And they were holding up signs protesting the church, protesting a Christian church on Easter Sunday. And I felt such pity for them. I didn't even get a chance to go talk to them because the second somebody walked across the street to talk to them, they took their signs and ran away really fast. They didn't want, I mean, they were there to protest, but they didn't want the church to actually, and not even confront them. But if you go to a church holding a sign that says, "What would Jesus do?" If you don't want an answer, don't go to a church, because that's actually where you get the answer to that question, right? Like that's where you would get the answer to the question, what would Jesus do? They're like, well, funny you asked. I'm going to come across the street and tell you. They packed up and ran away. But yeah, nobody thought to tell them protesting a church on Easter Sunday is a bad look. I felt bad for these people.
Yeah, maybe the question, Sheila, was what would Satan do? Probably something really stupid and disrespectful as what they were doing. And no wonder they were running away from you.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't even me. I didn't even get a chance. Somebody from the church crossed the road and I was like, wait for me. And then they just ran away.
Okay.
On churches. However, today, Pastor James was in attendance with his family. Now, there were some, I would describe as Westboro Baptist type protesters who came to protest this church on Easter Sunday from across the road where all the mainstream media journalists are kept off of church property. These Westboro Baptist types held signs that read, "Spread kindness, not COVID," and "What would Jesus do? Hang out in a cohort of 12. I mean, who wants to tell them that that also means that 12 apostles and Jesus would have all received a lockdown ticket from the Romans for breaking the Alberta current public health rules for gathering in a group larger than 10? I mean, I think that's still $3,600 to have the Last Supper. And asking what Jesus would do at a church trying to do exactly what Jesus would do is a bit of a bad idea if you really don't want an answer to that question, because when someone from the church crossed the street to try to tell these protesters what Jesus would indeed do, while those Westboro Baptist types ran away, and from what I understand, they did burst into tears. Frankly, I pity them because I wish they had people in their lives who cared enough about them to tell them that protesting Christians on the most important day in Christianity is a bit of a terrible look. GraceLife here remains one of the most important places in all of Alberta, maybe even Canada, and they're making a stand. They're risking a fine to stand up for this bizarre dictatorship we're all living under. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.
Sheila, do we actually know who those two gentlemen are? Because they've got toques on, they've got the full face diaper on. I pose that question because I don't even know, maybe they're kind of, ultra leftist Antifa types. They just hate Christianity, and this is a reason for them to come out there. And like you said, why pose a question if you don't want to hear the answer? Somebody from the church coming over to say, well, here's what I think Jesus might have done. And finally, that idiotic sign, spread kindness, not COVID. So by their rationale, in the weeks and months to come, I think all the parishioners at GraceLife Church are going to be dropping dead with COVID. Is that the case? Because I don't think that's going to be the case. And it's certainly not the case right now. So much for the fear factor that they are preaching.
Well, I also saw NDP MLAs promoting the idea that people should go to this church and protest. I mean, the NDP MLAs spoke. Not only did they attend, but they spoke at the Black Lives Matter protest in Edmonton. And that was perfectly fine because, as you know, this virus breaks along political lines.
Yep. So
that, going to church, bad idea. Going to a Black Lives Matter protest, perfectly fine. Sitting down, it can't get you, but when you stand up to 5'7", as I am, somebody from a restaurant is going to yell at you to put on a mask. Waiting in line outside of the Costco, that's fine, but once you get inside the Costco, then the virus is going to get you. None of it makes any sense, but these people protesting a church, you really have to be a true believer in the cult of public health to think that it is appropriate to be protesting a Christian church on the most important day on the Christian calendar. That's gross.
And don't forget the regional bias of the Wuhan virus, Sheila.
Right.
I can't go to the Air Canada Centre and take in a Leafs game like all the other NHL rinks. It's closed to the public. But, my favorite headline of the day, Texas toast, Jays thump Rangers in front of a packed stadium of maskless fans. Now, even the right-leaning Toronto Sun is admonishing those super spreaders. But again, the people that packed into Arlington Stadium yesterday for the Rangers home opener, that's supposedly a super spreader event. We're going to have 45,000 plus keeling over with the virus. No, it's not going to happen. This is a great thing. This is all part of herd immunity. And yet we are being told that even with 100% vaccination, Sheila, which will never be achieved, we should still wear masks. We are told that, forget about third wave, that's already passé. They're already saying the fourth wave is coming. You know what? I feel like we're all standing in an ocean. Because folks, around the clock, you know what you see in an ocean as the water's coming into shore? Endless waves. And it's not water in the ocean, but it's fear being directed by unaccountable, non-elected public health officials and their useful idiots like those two stooges that showed up at GraceLife on the weekend. And again, Sheila, it is all about spreading fear and intimidation. And listen, I look at myself as a personal example. In the last year and a bit, I've been going to airports. I've been going to long-term care facilities. I've been going to anti-lockdown protests. I have diabetes. I have a little extra weight I'm carrying around. You know what, Sheila? I should be dead by now, but I've never been more healthy in my life. I swear to God, folks, I even haven't had as much as a headache or a sore throat. So something is not adding up to me, Sheila.
Yeah, and from what I understand, diabetes is like the #1 risk factor across all age groups and across all ethnicities, and yet you're doing just fine. And it's funny because I try to not pay all that much attention to professional sports these days. I can't handle the wokeism.
I agree.
You know, I get enough of that in the news that I have to cover every day. That's why I like the solitary sports of running alone. But I even noticed that Sportsnet had that like scared face emoji when they tweeted about Arlington Stadium being packed.
Unbelievable.
You know, like I think I said something along the lines of like, that's what freedom looks like. That's what normalcy looks like. Texas has plummeting case counts and they removed their mask mandate, I think, about 3 weeks ago. So, you know, it should be a good news story. Like it should be like, hey, this is hope. This is hope. This is freedom. There's a different way forward. But instead, everyone is just so deeply entrenched in this culture of fear. And it's a virtue to be scared now. And I think it's disgusting.
Sheila, you know, and you're absolutely right. I haven't watched a single minute of baseball or the NHL. I always take a timeout for the Super Bowl. It's more of a social gathering, even though it was an illegal social gathering this year. And I think that's why I did it. But the fact of the matter is, I can't bear the wokeness of Major League, the major leagues and big corporations. And a few days ago, what was absolutely despicable was Major League Baseball removing the All-Star game from Georgia because of the Jim Crow laws coming in terms of voter identification. This very idea, it is a despicable narrative, Sheila, that, and actually it's a racist narrative by the critics of the voter laws, that black people and other people of color are too stupid to produce photo ID and give their driver's license number to confirm that's their identity. That is somehow a Jim Crow law. And this is what I want to tell you, Sheila, and all our viewers. Guess what? If you go to any Major League Baseball park and you've pre-ordered tickets, so you go to the will call booth, you know what you have to do, folks? You have to say, hey, I'm David Menzies. I'm here for my 2 tickets. Oh, really, Mr. Menzies? Okay. Can I see a piece of government photo ID? They are doing the exact same thing that Georgia is talking about, but it's not racist when Major League Baseball does it with their ticketing, but somehow it's racist when you're trying to exercise your voting franchise. What a bunch of lying hypocrites, Sheila.
Well, I think PayPal issued a statement too, something along the lines of they were outraged at Georgia's racist voting laws. And someone's like, hey, can I open a PayPal account without any ID?
Yeah.
And PayPal's like, yeah, no, sorry, you can't do that. There are some things that are really important that you need ID to do.
Oh.
And voting is one of those things.
Yeah. And by the way, Sheila, next time you want to try to get into the Democratic Party convention, try getting in without government photo ID. Impossible.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I know. It's like they're trying to gaslight the entire country.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's creating divisions. You know, let's call this for what it is, Sheila. It's neo-Marxism. It's about bringing things down, every institution. You know, and it could be the voting system, it could be Christianity, it could be the curriculum in education. It can even be, for goodness sakes, Dr. Seuss and SpongeBob and Captain Underpants books. This is how crazy it is, but it is an agenda, and it is despicable what's happening.
Yeah, it's weird that the drag queen story hour proponents are mad at Dr. Seuss because Dr. Seuss is somehow unacceptable for little kids. It's a very strange world that we live in. We should get to some of these rebel chats though, because they're starting to pile in. And I'll give a quick primer on how, if you're just tuning in, how you can do that. We have been completely demonetized by YouTube, but we figured out a workaround. If you'd still like to leave us a super chat, but you found out that you can't all of a sudden, if you go to the top of the live stream, there's the pinned comment there from Rebel News. You click on the link there, it'll take you off-site. Thanks, Justin. Over to Streamlabs, where you need a Streamlabs username that is just one word. By the way, that might be the problem if you're having problems. Yeah, you can just make up a username. You don't need a Streamlabs account. But it just needs to be just one word. You could throw some money in there and then throw a message to one of us or a question to one of us into the Rebel chat there. And then Justin will send them to me and we'll read them live on air. Okay, perfect. Let's get to some of these.
Oh, Sheila, I got momentarily distracted. There was a little animated man running. I don't know what that means.
I don't know, David. I don't know, David.
Or am I just seeing things? Did anyone see that little man? Justin says it means nothing. It's not a fire alarm drill.
No, it's fine. MVP donated $5 Australian. It's good to be watching the Rebel live again. I missed Sheila and David. Well, thank you so much. That's very kind. Jeff G donated $10 Canadian. Keep up the great work. You know what? We're going to try. Oh, gosh, there's a lot of vowels there, and my monitor is really far away. I eat me, O, N, I don't know. There's so many vowels there. Like, you bought all of them. Donated $3. Google didn't have any special images during Easter. Yes, that's right. That is absolutely right.
Incredible.
Yes, and I'm sorry I butchered your name. Annalisa S. Hi, Annalisa. Donated $10. Good morning. Looking very handsome, Menzies. Great to see you both this fine day.
I really got to meet this Annalisa S. I got to meet Lisa Proust, and she's a gem. I'm sure the same can be said about Annalisa.
I'm already saying it about her. Justin flags this to me and says this one is a tad inappropriate. Gaelic Bread donated $2.39. There once was a man named O'Toole who was given a chance to rule, but his politics stink, his integrity shrinks, and the CCP is friendly with him. Let's just leave it at that. Bruce B donated $2. Not a question, more of a statement. Have a great day. Shout out to Justin, the good one. Sweet. Foxhound donated $9.99. Just tried to get a hold of Calgary Police Service about the blatant lie they issued about Easter service and Pastor Pelosi. It seems there's no one to speak about this unless you call 911 Nenshie's thugs. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second because we have some news about Pastor Art that I think you all might want to know. Let's just cruise through a few of these before we have to stop, though.
And Sheila, can I just weigh in there? Welcome to the new normal of media relations with governments and bureaucracies and institutions like police forces. And it's simply this. If you ask an insensitive question, if you ask a question that, sort of the media party, it's not one of these softballs over home plate to knock out of the park. There is this growing trend I've discovered, and I've been doing this journalism game for over 30 years, of simply not responding. And I think the reason, the unspoken reason is, well, if we don't respond, that kills the story. No, it doesn't. And we just make mention that you didn't respond, i.e. you're cowards. But whether it's ministries in the province or the federal government or police services, Sheila, this is a growing trend. And I think they're trying to kill the story by not responding, and all it does is make them look bad.
Well, yeah, they do. They just look like cowards because they don't have a good answer. Like, part of your job as a communications officer for whatever bureaucracy or politician you work for is to spin the story. And if you can't even do that, I'm sorry, but I don't think we should be paying you your $80,000 a year. If you're not going to return my emails, which is literally your only job, goodbye. Save the taxpayer some money then, if you're just going to go into the cone of seclusion.
Yeah.
Nathaniel donated $5. I just had to watch They Live again after that hilariously accurate protest. And one of the lines in the movie stood out to me, and that is the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules. It's very true. Mike Mayer. Hi, Mike. donated $10. Sheila and David, thanks for being a beacon of truth in these dark times. From your friends at Freedom Honey, that sweet taste of freedom. That's Mike from People versus Predators. And he just bought, I think it's a farm. If it's a bee farm either way, but I'm not sure if it's an acreage or a farm, but he has started a company called Freedom Honey, and I want to be his very first customer.
Be thanking you, Mike.
Mike, I wish you knew. David and I have an inside joke where he communicates exclusively with bee emojis to me, and it is the most annoying thing ever.
Yeah, and Sheila, why don't you respond to the viewers how you communicate in such a violent fashion? What are those icons you put back when I show these beautiful little gentle bumblebees?
Knives and stone crossbones.
Note to self, HR complaint. Sheila triggered me.
I think I am HR, not sure. Okay, Reid in Yag donated $10. Just say no, folks, we can win this. Yeah, I think that's how Ezra does it. He's just done cooperating. Call Me Canada donated $1.59. Dr. Henry's attitude toward BC families under the lockdown, let them drink wine.
Yeah, oh, yeah. She has an interest in a couple of wineries, doesn't she, Sheila, allegedly?
Yeah, I think at least one. And then she closed everything, including business like restaurants, but allowed wine tasting. Isn't that interesting?
You see, folks, they're actually laughing at you. They're not even hiding their bias and their selfishness. These are the people saying, we're all in this together. These are the people saying 2 weeks to flatten the curve, 55 weeks later. And here you have, again, these are exactly the people I spoke about earlier in the show. Unelected, non-accountable public health officials making the decisions that the elected officials are foisting on us. And this Dr. Henry puts in a little caveat, a little asterisk. Oh, by the way, amongst the closures, wine tasting is allowed because, well, I have an interest in a winery. Unbelievable.
Yeah. You can go for wine tasting, but you can't go into a little restaurant and order a glass of wine. You have to be closed. It's gross. John Entwistle gives us $9.99 and says, thank God you are still on the air. Keep the faith. It will get better soon. I'm not sure. I think it might get a lot worse before it finally gets better, but we're ready. And I think you guys are too. Believe in Jesus donated $7.97. Sheila, I heard Dina Hinshaw is desperately trying to dig up more COVID cases related to GraceLife. I don't know if Dina Hinshaw is, but I do know the media is. That's for sure. They are what? You know what, though? On the upside, all the past live streams of GraceLife sermons that they're watching now to see if they can find any mention of Pastor James or Pastor Jake talking about COVID cases, all the sermons might do them some good. So maybe they might absorb some of that Christian fellowship and kindness through their TV screens, hopefully.
Oh, but I'm not holding my breath on that one, Sheila, because you know the mainstream media would like nothing more. It would be like Christmas Day for them if there was an outbreak of COVID cases or even COVID deaths, I dare say, at GraceLife Church. That's when the I told you so stories start rolling in. I have no doubt about that at all, Sheila.
Yeah, the amount of, well, they asked for it, they deserve it. Yeah. Coming from the compassionate left will be grotesque.
Yeah, it'll be like, oh, it's a tragedy and it's so sad that this family has lost this member. But, and then the but explains why, what you just said.
Yeah.
They asked for it.
Why they had it coming.
Yeah.
Matt B, 300, donates $3, says, people are so stupid. Jesus never ran away from anyone, from leprosy or even from his own horrible torture and death on the cross. He embraced it. God bless him. God bless you, Sheila and David. And shout out to Justin.
What a great email that was, Sheila.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, when you see the mainstream media show up with 4 this week, 6 last week, security guards to a church during Holy Week, which actually, incidentally, around the world is the most violent week for Christians, the most deadly week for Christians around the world is Holy Week in churches outside of the Western world. when they show up to participate in this like theater of victimhood that they think that they're in, I mean, it's grotesque, considering that this church is so committed to peaceful resistance to a very bad law that their pastor turned himself in to the province to serve 35 days in jail. They're not violent. He didn't go on the run. He didn't go on the lam. He just decided, nope, this is the consequences, or these are the consequences of my actions. I'm going to face them. I may disagree with the consequences, but I'll present myself for them. And the media shows up with security guards because they're expecting violence. I mean, it's just gross.
And Sheila, as I've asked before, surely the buck stops at Premier Kenney's desk
100%.
on this file. And where is he on this?
100%. 100%. And you know, if I can't appeal to Jason Kenney's sense of religious freedom, something I know he used to have. He used to give speeches on it all the time. I've got actually speeches and documents in my office here from before, when Jason Kenney believed in these things, about, you know, conferences that he attended where he was the keynote speaker about religious freedom. But if I can't appeal to his sense of religious freedom, let me appeal to his sense of political self-preservation. He's going to lose the next election if he doesn't fix this. What's happening is good for 10 points right off the top.
Sheila, I'm glad you mentioned that. That was going to be my next question to you. You know this better than anyone else. I lived 2 years in Alberta during the 80s, but from my perspective, from what I know of that province, this is a political winner for Premier Kenney to come out in support of religious freedom. There's more gain and less loss by taking that stance. So why isn't he?
Alberta, I wouldn't say that we're particularly religious, although some places of Alberta are. For example, the largest concentration of churches per capita in all of North America is not somewhere in the American Bible Belt. It's Lamont County, Alberta, because Ukrainian and Polish immigrants came here for religious freedom, particularly at a time when the state was cracking down on their churches, and they came here. They built a house out of sod, and oftentimes the first wooden structure they built was a church that housed 1 or 2 families. That was it. It was so important to them, and those churches remain. But underlying all of that is a sense of freedom, that the religious people came here for freedom. Everybody else came here for freedom. The Hutterites came here for freedom. The Mennonites came here for freedom. We came here to be left alone by the state. And that remains. That is the overriding theme of Alberta. Leave us alone. We'll leave you alone. And somehow the government is currently missing all of that.
100%.
Okay, let's keep going. Maryland donated $7.97. Texas made vaccination passports illegal as well. Little Texas should do the same. I'm not optimistic for the above stated reasons. Titus 2 donated $7.97. Hi, both. Love you guys in Rebel. Thanks for fighting for freedom in Canada. What should we do if forced vaccines happen for us to shop, etc., like in Israel or the UK? Why aren't more people aware of the agenda happening?
Yeah, this is a very good question, because the way I see this vaccination legislation coming down in the months and years ahead, Sheila, it's going to be the governments saying, look, you don't have to get vaccinated if you don't want to. We're not going to force you. We're not going to put you into a quarantine hotel. We're going to do none of that. But here's the thing. When the stadia and the arenas and whatnot open up, oh, you want to see the Fleetwood Mac concert? Well, look at the fine print. To buy tickets, you need to have the jab. You want to go to a Leaf game? Same deal. So in other words, you're free not to have it, but your freedoms will be curtailed, even to the point of travel. Oh, you want to go to Puerto Vallarta or the Dominican Republic? Do you have your jab yet? Oh, sorry, can't go. So you're not going to be starved to death or incarcerated, but if you want to enjoy the freedom like everyone else is, this is how I think it's going to go, Sheila.
Yeah, if you want to go to the gym, yes. If you want to go to if your kids want to play sports, you're going to have to vaccinate your kids for this disease that hardly affects them. I don't know.
And by the way, the reason I was laughing was Justin whispered in my ear, "Why do you always say Fleetwood Mac?" I think it's because of this. November 1st, 2019, before the world went to hell, Lady Menzies and I went to see Fleetwood Mac at the Air Canada Centre, or whatever they call it now. And it was a fantastic concert. It was packed to the rafters. To my knowledge, nobody died. And this is, of course, November 2019 is when the first reports of COVID were emerging. So I think that's why. I've got, those to me are the good old days, November of 2019.
Jeez. Florida Possum donated $10. F you to last week after returning from Florida. I could never get the government of Canada to pick up my 10-day at-home COVID test. It's still in my fridge. My quarantine was over March 29th. This is an expensive joke hitting the people who have to travel. Yeah, I've got a Fight the Fine story coming up about a somewhat high-profile female athlete who had over a half a dozen COVID tests over the course of a week. Oof. Tested clean. When she was out of the country, she quarantined because she was out fulfilling her contractual obligations. She came back. And even then, and that was just at the time where the like sexual assaults regarding the COVID hotels were sort of coming out to light. And she's like, I'm not going to one of those. I've tested clean before I left, while I was out, and while I'm back. And I'm not going to one. And she ended up getting some COVID tickets. So I'm happy to help this high profile or semi-high profile female athlete take our feminist government to court over trying to send her to a dangerous COVID hotel.
Feminist
Good Lord.
Government. Yeah. I'm experiencing it differently, Sheila.
Yeah. Joyful Heart donated $10. Happy Easter, Sheila and David. I was wondering if we can recall our mayor and premier like California is trying to do with Governor Newsom. Governor Gruesome, you mean? What are your thoughts?
I would love to see recall legislation across Canada, Sheila.
Yeah, me too. Alberta is probably going to bring it in, but with a poison pill that makes it nearly impossible to achieve.
Of course.
So, yeah, I mean, politicians are, if anything, self-preservationists.
Yeah.
And they want to cling to power. So we've done some videos about the introduction of recall legislation here in Alberta and how it's good lip service to fulfilling a campaign promise, but it has poison pills in it that make it almost impossible for Albertans to achieve.
Shockers, what a surprise.
Yeah, isn't that weird? Gail Tillapaw donated $10 through a super chat. Oh, you must be watching over on the Rebel News Clips channel, and I wish I had said that earlier. If you are still wanting to give a super chat the old-fashioned way, which, I mean, thank you very much if you do. However, YouTube still takes 30% of that. And if you go through Streamlabs, we get 100% of that minus the credit card processing fees. But if you still want to do it the old-fashioned way, if you go over to the Rebel News Clips channel, where we are still live streaming for now, and incidentally, still monetized over there, but not on the main page. Anyway, none of it makes sense. You can give a super chat over there. And it looks like that's where Gail sent hers. She said she's not looking forward to possibly more restrictions coming to Alberta this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm very pessimistic, but I'm hoping that Jason Kenney just holds the line, because these businesses are not going to survive. They're just not.
By the way, Sheila, don't you think Rebel News Clips, it sounds like we're running an illegal barbershop? Which might be a good idea.
We should.
I know.
Open up an illegal barbershop called Rebel News Clips.
I'll make a note of it.
Please. Isaiah 53 donated $5, and I don't see a super chat. That's very generous. Karen Stoppel donated $5 through super chat. Oh, great. What about those that take the jab because of a compromised immune system? Shout out to Justin. You know, that's the thing with the vaccinations. If I think that it should be up to the choice of the person. And I understand there's a lot of apprehension about the vaccines because of how quickly they were developed and the problems that are evident with the AstraZeneca one. The problems that if you acknowledged them 2 weeks ago, you were a conspiracy theorist until Health Canada said, oh yeah, no, hang on. There are problems. And specifically for young, healthy women, there are problems. So.
And Sheila, if I may, I've said this story before, but you know, when you develop a vaccine, typically it takes 10 years. Rocket fast is considered 5 years. This has been done within a year. And partly the way it's been done is by lifting all kinds of regulatory approval and all those hoops and all that red tape, which is something normally I'd be all in on. But since this is something being injected into our bodies, that's when I want a little more oversight and less speed. And I say this with a bit of a bias. I'm a 1962 baby. That was the year thalidomide was on the market for mothers experiencing morning sickness. My mother actually got a prescription. Thank God for, I don't know what, woman's intuition, a hunch. She never opened that bottle. And folks, if you want to Google what effect thalidomide had on babies being born, it was horrible deformities. And I just thank my lucky stars that despite her terrible morning sickness, she never, for whatever reason, took that. The point is, stuff going into our bodies, I think, has to be very carefully vetted and approved. I don't believe in rush jobs, and I'm not anti-vax. I really am. I am not. But in this case, I'm in no rush to get any of these vaccines.
Ayla donated $20 and says, hi from Ayla. I love the way the minister in Calgary chased those tyrant cops. Okay, then now's a good chance to come back to this. Do we want to show the clip from Pastor Art, Justin, or should we just talk about the news about Pastor Art? Yeah, let's show a little bit of it.
Please get out. Get out of this property. Immediately get out. Get out of this property immediately. Out. I don't want to hear anything. Out of this property immediately. I don't want to hear a word. Out. Out. Out of this property immediately until you come back with a warrant. Out. 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 Out of this property. Immediately out. Immediately go out and don't come back. I don't want to talk to you. Not a word. Out of this property. Immediately out. I don't care what you have to say. Out. Out. Out of this property, you Nazis. Out. Out. Gestapo is not allowed here. Immediately, Gestapo is not allowed. Out. Do you understand English? Get out of this property. Go. So go. Go. And don't come back without a warrant. Out, Nazi. Out.
Sheila, I can watch that 100 times and never get bored. I mean, that COVID Karen still trying to say some gibberish as he's screaming, out, out, and do you understand English? What a thing of beauty. And all he's doing is abiding by the law. You've got no warrant? Then get out. There's no discussion. Get out. And I am talk about utter humiliation for all those jabronis that came into that facility. Unbelievable. I love it.
Well, and Pastor Art might not be everybody's cup of tea, but who cares? I mean, and I've seen people say like, oh, well, that's not what Jesus would have done. Well, you don't know that. And it's mostly people who've never read the Bible who say stuff like that, who think that Jesus was just some sandal-wearing desert hippie wizard. When that's not what he was. I mean, Pastor Art is channeling Jesus cleansing the temples of the money changer vibes there. And just a quick note on that. When Jesus did cleanse the temple of the money changers, let us all remember that Jesus, in advance of going to the temple to cleanse the money changers and the merchants out of it, he braided in advance a cord, a whip, leather cords, so that he could go there and lash everybody out of the temple. So it wasn't even, Jesus's anger that day in the temple was not a loss of self-control. It was righteous indignation, much as Pastor Art exhibited there. But I should let everybody know that Pastor Art is Ezra's guest on the show tonight on ELS. Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes, so Pastor Art is the ELS guest tonight, so Ezra Levant show. And if you go to rebelnewsplus.com, you can become a monthly or annual subscriber. It's only $8 a month if you go by the month, and you get 7 days free. If you subscribe annually, you get 2 months and you try for 30 days free. So I think that's the best bargain. You're not going to be disappointed because you'll get, Ezra has a monologue every single night, plus a guest. There's the Gunn show with me. That's on Wednesdays, but it's the internet, so you can just watch whenever you want. Then there's Rebel Roundup. That's on Friday with David, and he brings us on as guests, so Rebel contributors. And then Andrew Says. He has a brand new show. We're giving you Andrew's show at the same price as before. So you get all the other content plus a brand new show, still for $8 a month or $80 a year. And Andrew talks about the culture wars and political commentary with some high-profile activists from around the world. And he's got a great new show. So again, if you'd like to see Pastor Art Pawlowski with Ezra Levant tonight, do treat yourself to a Rebel subscription at rebelnewsplus.com.
And Sheila, don't forget, if any of our viewers have an extra $250 burning a hole in their pocket, they can join the Producers Club, where you get everything Sheila just described, plus lots of swank extras, eh, Sheila?
Yes, it's like a secret little club. And, in the less COVID restrictive times, we have special events for our Producers Club people too.
And do we have more super chats, Sheila?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
What a dumb question that was.
Yes. Matt B300 donated $2. Says, just wait. In time, some of those vaccine passports will be a black market hot commodity, and you can get one anywhere for just the right price. No one is jabbing me. Hey again, Justin.
Yeah. You know what? That's fascinating. I mean, we do live in a day and age of identity theft, mortgage theft, you name it. If it can be created, it can be hacked. And I wonder if that would be a possibility, Sheila. That's a fascinating viewpoint.
Yeah, it's just another Chinese counterfeit black market item that they can create, given the pandemic they unleashed on the rest of the world. There's no end to their profiteering. Let's keep going. Canada No More donated $1.59. Jason Kenney might have been a good speaker, but he's not interested in helping Albertans. The premier seat was just a cushy option after Harper left office. Alberta has no future within Confederation, and Canada is being dismantled. I don't know. I think if Jason Kenney had stayed on, he would be leader of the Conservative Party of Canada right now. So I think he came back with the best of intentions, but he's just being roughshod, run over by the public sector right now. Everything that the public sector wants at this moment, lockdowns, public sector essential worker top-ups, everybody locked in their homes, that's what's happening right now in Alberta.
I wish you hadn't mentioned the Conservative Party of Canada, Sheila. I was, in a happy place until then. What do you make of all the whispers and the chat that's going around right now of wooing Stephen Harper to come back in? That I know we're hoping against hope, but a palace coup being conducted on Aaron O'Shear, much like it was done on Patrick Brown 3 years ago here in the province. I know the clock is a factor, as they say on Sportscast, but clearly what we have leading this party, this dog don't hunt. Do you think there's any validity to Stephen Harper considering a return from the wilderness and taking up the reins again?
Don't threaten me with a good time, David. I would love to have Stephen Harper come back. I think the party would love to have Stephen Harper come back. I don't know if he would, but that's like my fantasy football leader for the Conservative Party of Canada. I mean, if Justin Trudeau's dad could basically be the leader of the Liberal Party for life,
Yeah.
and he wasn't great at it, why can't Stephen Harper do the same? Oh, and especially when the party needs some sort of healing,
Yeah.
because Stephen Harper was really good at creating a big tent where everybody was welcome. Social conservatives, social progressives, fiscal conservatives. There was a place for everybody. Libertarians even. There was a place for everybody. He just let you have your little niche that you wanted to work to, bring forward more freedom in your area that you cared about. And that was fine.
Yep.
That's not the party anymore.
No.
And it's fractured. And now we have this rise of Western separatism. I watched a documentary made in conjunction with the National Film Board of Canada. So I was skeptical right off the hop, naturally. But it was a documentary. It was called The Disunited States of Canada. And it talked about the growing separatist movements all across the country, in Quebec, in BC, in Western Canada. And you know what was the one thing that these French filmmakers concluded was the reason that the separatist movements were extinguished? It was the election of Stephen Harper. And this was like a publicly funded documentary made by French language filmmakers, and even they came to that conclusion. So if we want a united country and a prosperous country, Stephen Harper, come back to us.
But that's the other thing too, Sheila. Stephen Harper picked a lane and stayed in it. And it was things like lowering taxes, fiscal responsibility, restoring the military to its former glory. All of these very important issues. And what do we see from Mr. O'Scheer? Climate change. Oops, that didn't go through. Now I'm advocating speaking out against anti-Chinese hate. And now it's this. And now he can't pick a lane. What does he stand for? What does this party stand for? Try to communicate that in 2 sentences. I defy anyone.
Well, and, Stephen Harper, he sort of stayed out of all those complex social issues that can get you in trouble. What he said was, whether it's taxes or social issues, these decisions are best left to your family. So how you want to structure your family income, be it income splitting or whatever, or what sports you want to put your kids in and what qualifies for a tax credit, those are all issues better left to your family than the government. Yeah. And that was, I think, the best approach, because it left it's one of those things that I think all conservatives agree on, that the family is the cornerstone of civilization, really. And government should stay out of the family as much as possible, if not completely. And that's sort of what Stephen Harper even based his fiscal policy around, is that these decisions with your family income and how that's all structured is best left within, the confines of the family. And anytime the government gets involved, they're taking a cut. So don't.
Yeah. And to put a bow on this segue, Sheila, I think the ball is in Stephen Harper's court. I personally think he's probably having too much fun doing the speaking engagement thing and making nice coin that way. And who needs the stress? Who needs the media mob hectoring him? And he's, enjoying these years of his life doing what he wants to do. But so I think for that reason, he probably won't be wooed back. But please, surprise me, Stephen Harper. Surprise me.
I'm not sure that Stephen Harper enjoys speaking engagements. That's not the vibe I get from him.
Oh, okay.
I think that it's probably something he does as because he thinks it's necessary. But I never felt like he enjoyed giving speeches at all. I felt like he enjoyed crunching numbers in a gray sweater with a chinchilla on his shoulder or whatever, out of the limelight. Noble Canadian donated $3.99. Family Kitchen in Leamington, Ontario defied the lockdown and had indoor dining today. Yes, I did see pictures of that. Pastor Hildebrandt was there. It was awesome. So many people with signs and support against the lockdown. 100 or more either waiting in line or to eat, and the others protesting. Do you know, on Saturday, Adam Skelly is coming to Alberta.
Oh.
And do you know where he's going to be? The Whistle Stop.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, I'm just excited for him to actually have some good beef to cook with. So let's see how that goes.
Yeah, hopefully they won't call in the mounted unit like they did in Toronto with Adam Skelly showing up there.
There's not enough cops out there. There's like 4. They're not going to be able to deal with it. John Brine donated $5. Just found out this morning that the law here in Nova Scotia has been changed. You can no longer wear your face diaper to any medical facility. You now have to wear one that they give you on the way in.
Oh.
Very odd. Keep up the great work, you two. That's weird because, again, this is like different kinds of masks working in different kinds of places. Again, the virus is very smart. So your mask works in Costco, but it doesn't work in the hospital. Funny.
And let's hope it's not one of those several thousand of masks in Quebec, Sheila, that they found to be contaminated. How do you like that in terms of wellness?
Yep. There's plenty, Titus 2 donated $3. There's plenty of info that says these vaccines affect DNA. There are doctors sharing this info. This is not a vaccine. And people are refusing to see their non-vaccinated kids or grandkids. The fear tactic has gotten to people, and it has worked. Rebelator 2 donated $7.97. I don't see a super chat. Bigfoot donated $10. Keep up the good work. Karen Stoppel donated $3. Should have been can't take the jab because of a compromised immune system. I don't know what's going to happen to those people. I mean, there's a lot of people with complex medical conditions right now who can't wear a mask, and nobody seems to give a darn about them. I had to stop myself.
Isn't it so ironic, Sheila? We have a government, left of center, which is all about reasonable accommodation. But when it comes to wearing the face diaper, when it comes to getting the jab, no. Even if you have a medical issue, they might talk about reasonable accommodation, but we see increasingly that's not how it's playing out these days.
Yeah, I mean, imagine the indignity of forcing you to divulge your private medical issues to total strangers. It's grotesque. Yeah. It's dehumanizing. And it's a complete violation of privacy. Privacy doesn't even exist anymore during the pandemic. You can be anonymous if you wear your face mask, but if you have an actual medical challenge that prevents you from wearing one, you have to just walk around with your medical history under your arm so you can show it to total strangers. It's gross. Spiral donated $2. The police violated the Charter of Rights and Freedoms by violating the religious assembly. Yeah. This is early signs of totalitarianism. Well, it also violates Section 176(2) of the Criminal Code, which prevents the interruption or disruption of a religious service, or I think even just like a prayer service. It doesn't even have to be like an actual official sermon. I hate that when cops either don't know the law or they are pretending they don't know the law. They know it just fine.
Yep.
They are assuming that you don't know it, or that you are just going to kowtow to their authority because they're in a uniform and you're not.
Yep.
Which is, how we're taught. And we're taught to respect cops, and we're taught to assume that they know exactly what's going on and that they're not going to lie to you, but they do. Stephen Stone, 884, donated $7.97. Vaccine passport will encourage fraud, which is just fine by me. Tired of this nonsense. Okay. Ian McKnight donated $10 through a super chat. Thank you, Ian. Doug Ford press conference is just a bunch of vaccinated clowns walking in circles, juggling their masks and touching their faces 100 times in the embarrassing display of virus theater, cheesecake for all. Watching those press conferences, it's the same in Alberta. It is it's like watching rhythmic gymnastics, where they're walk out and they take their mask off and pump their hand sanitizer, and then they touch the papers, and then they take the hand sanitizer, and then they walk backwards and sideways. It's like greeting Queen Elizabeth in the 1600s, where you have to back up and move to the side, and you can never stop looking forward. It's very strange how these press conferences go down. 50% of the press conference is just public health theater.
Yep.
With people sanitizing and removing masks and then putting masks back on.
And you know what I love? If you look at the positioning, you see how they form this kind of a triangle or semicircle, and they're, because of ostensibly social distancing. All I can think of, Sheila, are the old classic Star Trek episodes when the crew assembles in the transporter room to beam down to the planet, right? They have that separate. I guess so all their molecules don't commingle when they reassemble in the beaming down process. But that's what it reminds me of. So you got Captain Jerk there and Mrs. Spook and I don't know who the other jabronis are, but they're probably admonishing us for not following the rules properly. So
that's not even as bad as the Alberta press conferences. The Alberta press conferences, they have hand sanitizer on the podium, and then when they walk up, they sanitize their hands. Then they take their masks off by hooking behind their ears because they don't want to touch the fabric. Then they lay it down gently so that the outside is touching the podium but not the inside.
Sheila,
and then they read, and then they sanitize their hands, put the thing back on, sanitize one more time, and then leave. Their skin's going to fall off.
You've just given me an idea. Why don't these politicians for these press conferences just bring in a hot tub and fill it with hand sanitizer and all get in the hot tub in their bathing suits and they're completely immersed in hand sanitizer so they don't have to go through that rigmarole?
Where are all the germs coming from? If you sanitize your hands when you walk to the podium, you should be good. But then they sanitize before they walk away, and then they sanitize when they come back up. So every time they take a question, they go through this whole thing. So it starts off with the health officer, and then she answers a question. Then the next question is directed to Jason Kenney. So he does it, and then she gets a question, so she does it again. It's crazy. I can't take it. I can't watch them anymore. Look, yes.
Shouldn't the guy doing sign language be getting more hand sanitizer?
Twice. She did it twice. So she comes up, sanitizes her hands, lifts it off from behind the ear, sanitizes her hands one more time. Then she answers the question because you can't talk and do all this stuff.
Oh, and the mask.
Look it. Sanitize
Diaper on, diaper off.
The ears. Sanitize again. Then when she leaves and puts her mask on, she sanitizes again. The 50% of the press conferences are sanitizing. I can't take it.
You know what I would love, Sheila? I would love it that the guy doing sign language is saying, "Can you believe this idiot?" How would she know?
Justin. It's too much. I can't. It's too much. Like, you spend 50% of your time watching these people do this theater of hand sanitizing. It's horrible.
Oh, okay.
Okay, as Justin is telling me, we've got to put a wiggle in it because he's got an interview.
Ladle.
Call Me Canada donated $1.59. Canada needs backs Bernier policies. They are the only ones that work. The PPC cannot win if Canadians don't support them. Don't waste your vote on the globalist Conservative Party of Canada. Samaj Lucian donated $5 through Super Chat. Well. Dear Canadian friends, keep up the good fight and reporting. Blessing to you all. Humongous donated $5. Conservatism is falling apart in Canada because there are no clear principles that they hold and base their actions or policies on. I agree with that 100%.
Yep.
Matt B300 donated $2. It's harder to get an official birth certificate, OHIP card, or driver's license, but go out to the street if you know the right people and you can get one, no problem. Also true. Justin Trudeau, you suck, donated $10. And it was all one word.
Sorry, I think, folks. Oh, here. There you go, Sheila.
I hit the mute button. I'm having all kinds of mic problems today. I actually have to reshoot some stuff I shot earlier. So, anyways, Justin Trudeau, you suck, donated $10, letting David and/or Tamara know that the end of the lockdowns. Is having their second Peterborough Freedom Rally this Saturday at 12 p.m. Had over 100 people last weekend, but there will be more. We need Rebels energy. Please join us if possible. We love you guys. I think, unfortunately, we all have some place that we all have to be on Saturday. So I don't know if we can make it there, but thank you for letting us know. And you know what? You just let everybody on the live stream know right now, too. So hopefully that will help with your turnout. Laura donated $1. I come from a very broken, abusive family, so I struggle with the government having zero interference with the family. Laura, you're the exception and not the rule. And there are specific, there are specific things in place for families like yours. But for other families who don't come from the same background as you, it's a much different situation, isn't it? NT Weeb donated $7.97 as a member at GraceLife Church.
Oh.
I really appreciate your coverage of freedom issues in Canada and at GraceLife. You know what? You guys at GraceLife are really putting on a clinic for how you're supposed to deal with the cops, how you're supposed to deal with the media, with the exception of myself, and how you deal with each other, because you refuse to have the government interfere in how you practice your faith and how you interact with each other as part of your Christian fellowship. And I think it's just wonderful. You're an example to the entire world. And I think we're finally all caught up. Should, Justin, I know we have to go because you have to do an interview, but can you bring up the store for a second?
Thank you.
Because I was on the store today ordering some sweatshirts. And I thought I would share how kind of, I know they won't be here before the weekend, but Tamara, sorry, stop for a second, go back up, not Tamara, Drea has that white hat right there, and I thought it looked really good on her. I have the one that's just the megaphone because only true rebels know. But I was on the store earlier today ordering some sweatshirts, and I'm kind of excited for them to come. I've ordered, see that megaphone one, we'll just keep going. I ordered the gulag one, so that gulag one right there. Justin, you're giving me vertigo. Slow down. Yeah, so I ordered this gulag one right here. And David, did you order your socialist distancing one yet?
No, you know what? Thank you for reminding me, Sheila. I've just been so busy. Tonight, I'm going to make my order. I've got 4 items I've selected. Socialist distancing, oh my gosh, that is just fantastic. They're all great, but I'm going to limit myself to 4. And I think what I'm going to do, Sheila, I think I'll take some casual days. I couldn't do it today because it is tartan day and I wanted to wear the Menzies tartan. But I think I'm going to start to wear these sweatshirts and t-shirts to, get the message out there that if you want to show your support for Rebel News, you can literally wear it on your sleeves. And there is so much great merchandise. You're right, that toque really pops. And I'm with you. I love the logo right there, that lady right there with the mega horn or megaphone. I always get confused what it is. Regardless, it's a secret handshake kind of a symbol, isn't it, Sheila? Those in the know that's our logo. And those who don't, well, you probably don't want to meet those people anyways. And gulag, oh my goodness, that's so great. I wonder if we'll ever get to a day and age of cancel culture where you can't have satire and sarcasm that, the tech giants and the other people behind the attack on free speech simply won't allow it because, it's kind of offensive and we don't want anyone being triggered. But we're not there yet. Not yet, folks. So you can wear these impolite, politically incorrect t-shirts and sweatshirts and toques and ball caps and look so fashionable in the meantime.
Well, and I was excited because I didn't realize we had coffee mugs in there. I know that we used to have tumblers, and I wish that we would bring back the tumblers. People at home, if you think that we should have tumblers, could you please let us know in the live chat or underneath this video if you want tumblers, please. I would like tumblers, but I'm just one person because I have my beloved NRA Association tumbler that I keep in the office here, but I would really like a Rebel one because I keep it in the office because it's big so that I don't have to run upstairs. Oh, okay. Yeah, but they're not at the store, Justin. Put them in the store. Okay. Okay. But I want everybody to have one because if I'm having this problem, then other people are having the problem. But I did order some of those coffee cups because those are fun too. Because everybody likes coffee.
So wait a minute. Justin's saying that the tumblers
are tumblers.
But we don't list it. Is that right? Oh, we just have some in the office. I thought it was, because once upon a time, Dairy Queen, they never put the Blizzard on the menu. You had to ask for it, and they would make you one. Now I think they put it on the menu, but
Yeah, David, what year was that?
70s.
Anyways, if you saw anything that you like in the Rebel store, might I suggest that you use coupon code Sheila10 for 10% off. And if you'd like a tumbler, please let us know, because I've launched Bring Back the Tumbler campaign apparently right now, live on air.
What's my coupon code again, Sheila?
Sheila10.
She plays to win, folks.
Sheila10. Thank you, Justin. Just like that. So
There we go.
when you're ordering, I finally pulled the chute on lots of my Rebel merchandise. I too, like David, had 4 things in my basket, and then I shuffled them out, and then I put other things in, because new things are coming out all the time. That's one of the reasons I wanted Justin to check in on the store, is because we're putting new stuff in there all the time. We launch shirts sometimes to coincide with some of the campaigns that we're doing, like Fight the Fines. It's a great way to show a little bit of love for us here at Rebel News by buying our merchandise and signaling to the other rebels in the world, hey, I'm a cool cat just like you.
100%. Well,
And that's hang on, rebelnewsstore.com. Coupon code Sheila10.
oh, again. Well, folks,
Ow.
we've gone, we have one more super chat, and then we're going to have to wrap up, right, Sheila?
Yes, Tax Slave donated $10. Thank you, Rebel Crew. Thank you, Tax Slave.
Boy, tax slave, aren't we all?
Yeah.
Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in on behalf of Mr. Producer Justin and Sheila the She-Devil Gunn Reid. I'm David Menzies, and a special thank you to all who gave Super Chats. Without you, we are nothing. We can't pay the bills. So until Thursday, stay sane.